Right now.
The team have methodically gathered all the information they need about their own army, but will they be as sharp in assessing their enemy? Eye Surgeon Nigel orders his scouts across the plain to spy on the Persians.
There's a lot of them. I think you were warned you'd be outnumbered, but did you expect it would be this bad?
Wow, what have we got? Really long, thin lines.
What you've got here is light cavalry and heavy cavalry. Heavy cavalry in the middle and light cavalry at the front and the back. Then 4 lines of troops, and they are Persian slingers. They don't sing, they sling.
The Persian army, the great mass of these people, great numbers of them, 40 to 50,000 in each case, are either archers or sling men, missile troops, trying in some way to get a kill with an arrow or with a stone. It's a much more basic form of warfare, and it's much harder, I think, for them to use that force to stop the phalanx.
Then you've got the javelin behind, and then the 3rd row are the archers, and then you've got the spears, the 4th row of the spears. We want to move the scouts across the centre now. Going to take a risky move and just
ride along the face of the enemy. What, in front of the slingshots?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to work.
Okay, so right in the middle at the back you've got Greek mercenaries. And the far right you've got three more groups of cavalry. The Persians are using their cavalry to protect their flanks.
Contact with the Macedonians has forced the Persians to update their cavalry. They've got rid of the old javelins that they used to throw. They've given them a longer sword, a bigger shield. The Persian cavalry that we see on the field today are capable of mixing in with the Macedonian cavalry on nearly equal terms. But one thing that you cannot do, if you try to drive these horses at pikes or at a crowd of men holding pikes, the horses, who are quite clever, are going to move away. You're not going to be able to use these Persian cavalry against a phalanx.
So it's slings, javelins, archers, spears, but in the middle at the back you've got Greek mercenaries and the general. Okay, so we'll back off because I think we've found out all we need to.
Do you want to quick whiz back into those fields where the by the river? I just want to double check there's nothing hidden behind the cavalry there. Anyone see anything? Can't see anything.
The team have been thorough. They've spotted all of the enemy units and combed the battlefield for any surprises. But will the 2 Richards keep their eye on the big picture? The generals must remember just how wide that Persian front line is as they start to formulate their battle plan.
Let's just kind of step back a bit. Being aggressive early on.
Yes.
Okay. So we mustn't be too defensive.
If you use all the pikemen together, you've only got 2 sides where they're weak. If you separate them all, you've got lots of 2 sides. So they're weak everywhere. Okay. So they're probably better off just being used as a block together, or maybe in 2 blocks rather than being separated.
Basically, Alexander's won his battles in the past by leading he's led his cavalry to the weak points. He's led his cavalry to the weak points of the enemy.
And the weak point
is
John has got the right idea. John is saying that Alexander himself must lead that charge in.
The second decision is which part of the Persians are we going to attack and with what?
And that's where
we're not going to use the cavalry head-on against the infantry because that's where they're weak. So we could use a wedge formation of the cavalry and attack the junction between the cavalry and the troops with a wedge attack.
Nigel has spotted a very important tactical Macedonian reality, which is the best point to put the point of your wedge is at a gap in the enemy formations. A natural physical effect of forcing your way into the gap and causing the enemy who see those horsemen coming to scatter and break up the formation.
If you do attack with cavalry, you have to follow it up with something afterwards immediately, because there's no point in just sort of killing a few or whatever. You've got to really go for it in one big whoosh.
I think Nigel's made a very good point there, which is that the cavalry unsupported on any battlefield throughout centuries, millennia even of military history, will not achieve much.
That's right.
You have to be hot on their heels with the heavy infantry to capitalise on any success.
One of the plan is cavalry and these infantrymen come up trying to separate the cavalry and the infantry from the front there, yeah?
Yeah, to punch a way in.
And then we want to send the main infantry, the shorter stuff, all coming in round one flank.
We're nearly there. We've just got to work out what we do with these.
What we do with these people.
We need these guys out here. Yeah?
Yeah.
They need to form this kind of wall of steel.
So this is just a line of pikes
yeah.
advancing.
Yes.
Right?
There's a line of pikemen there, and everyone else is there attacking from the side.
Yeah. And we've got archers there, cavalry in reserve up here.
The team's plan is really impressive.
The only thing that I think, looking at it, that may be a drawback at this stage is they don't really have a second line, as Alexander did, a proper reserve element to meet emergencies on the flanks.
That's your plan, and it was good to hear.
Sort of.
Now it's time, gentlemen, to deploy your troops.
The year is 331 BC. A team of childhood friends control Alexander the Great's small but high-quality Macedonian army against the vast forces of the Persian Empire. The team's battle plan is aggressive. They want to start the attack with their companion cavalry on their right flank, while their pike phalanx pins the Persian front line. But will the team be able to put aside 33 years of beautiful friendship and become the brutally efficient military commanders necessary to win this bloody fight?
You've got a heavy cavalry at the front and light cavalry, I think, at the back.
Are any of these troops moving?
Can somebody pay the troops or whatever it is they need to get moving?
Maybe they need to be inspired by great generals.
Are the archers on your side, Nigel?
No, they're not. They're under Johnny's control.
I completely forgot about controlling different sides of the screen.
Yeah.
That's very important you two both understand now.
You should just direct Johnny and I'll direct Nigel.
Okay. Johnny, you've got to get your archers over to the left-hand side to follow the cavalry.
There we go, we have some movement.
Get the pikes at the back and start to move them in formation straight down the middle.
With their command structure finally sorted out, the generals start to deploy their cavalry, hoplites and pike phalanx.
If we look at the phalanx here, we can see how they deploy with rows upon rows of spear points. Now clearly, whether you're a Persian levy guy with a slingshot or whether you're a cavalry horse, that's a frightening prospect. And in fact, one of the Roman generals who came up against the Macedonian phalanx said it was the most terrifying thing he'd ever seen in his life.
Nigel?
We're doing a wedge attack, aren't we, with Johnny as
Yes, you're going to be getting most of the cavalry on your side, and I think we might... Nigel, you've got some cavalry.
That group out there to the right, that's our heavy cavalry, forming a wedge formation.
These companion cavalry, they really are shock troops for the Macedonians. And when they go into battle, they literally go into battle wedged up, with their leader at the point of a triangle and the troops coming out behind him. It's a very difficult formation to adopt and to maintain, but it's a very powerful one in shock action charges, particularly into thin lines of enemy infantry.
Do you want the generals with the heavy cavalry?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
John has got the right idea. Alexander himself must lead that charge in, because he rode at the point of this wedge-shaped formation. All the commander had to do was see the gap and ride towards the gap, and he knew that the rest of his squadron would go with him and exploit the gap.
Richards,
yes.
Richards, would you like a little extra help?
Yes.
Come back to the table. And we've already given you far more help and information than Alexander the Great ever had, but because we like you, look at this satellite view.
Whoa!
This new bird's-eye view reveals the huge width of the enemy lines and the sheer scale of the task that faces the team.
Nigel?
Yeah.
What's that big line of troops at the front moving forward? Is that your pikemen or what?
Yeah, that's my pikemen. The other three that are moving off to the right are the hoplites, which are very similar to the pike phalanx, but probably not quite as strong.
These are some of the hoplites, and the hoplites are using shorter spears than those pikes, which means that they're a little more agile. They can turn a bit more on the battlefield, but the price they pay is there are not as many lines of points out in front of that formation.
Johnny? What's going on? What are you...
Well, we move. Okay, we've got the heavy cavalry down there in a wedge formation, followed up by light cavalry and the generals behind.
Okay. Have you dispatched those archers over to the left-hand side and got rid of them?
Yeah, the archers have gone over onto the left-hand side.
Having overcome their initial confusion, the team are starting to get it together. Their troops are moving into a well-ordered formation. Deployment is looking slick.
Nice looking line.
the team's deployment is really very impressive. The team has done a very good job of deploying their infantry in a way that will enable them to